Okay, it looks like we're right at 10 o'clock. I want to keep us on schedule. So thank you all so much for joining us for this last session in our Love Data Week series. I see a lot of familiar names and faces, so thank you to those of you who've tuned in throughout the week. I'm really excited to close out this week with this session from Julie Sharma from the Department of Information Technology, who is joined by her colleague Kyle Adams as well, in case you didn't get those intros while we were chit-chatting at the beginning. And without further ado, I want to hand over to our presenters to talk to us a little bit about organizing your own data.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We are going to talk about ways to uncover kind of what you do, what made up a year. And I'm going to put the slides in chat in case you like to kind of preview or have those available. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And the slides, as a note, are kind of how I document everything that we'll talk about today, but we're not going to go through the slides. What I do is I invite you to have your Google account open, maybe on one screen, and the Zoom on the other screen, so you can try the things out that I'm going to show today. So we will look at a few slides, and then we're going to be jumping into Gmail, into Calendar, and into this special spreadsheet that I've made. So give me a thumbs up if you have ever gotten to the end of a year and you've just been like, what did I do this year? You know, maybe you're trying to document for, performance review, or maybe you just kind of like to look back and reflect. So type yes in chat or give me a thumbs up if you just got to the end of the year and don't remember what you did. You're pretty sure you were busy and you did a lot of really great stuff, but you don't remember. Yeah. So what I want to do is give you some tools that you can use. This is within the Google environment, and I apologize that I didn't specify in the description of this event um, that we are going to be looking at Google tools today. But I'm going to give you tools to be able to get to the point where at the end of the year, you can quickly pull up information about what you did, maybe the amount of time you spent on certain things, the types of comments you've gotten throughout the year, things like that. So what we're going to do to be able to get this information is we're going to look in Gmail, and we're going to look at how you can tag and maybe categorize your emails. So let's say you get an email that says, this was super helpful. Thanks for this. Or great work on this project. Whatever those emails are that you want to save to help remember different points throughout the year, let's categorize them so you can pull them out easily when it comes to the point when you want to gather them. Then we're going to jump into Calendar and look at how you can quantify time there. So there is a tool in Calendar that allows you to look at what you've done kind of in an aggregate, so summed up way. So we'll take a look at how to do that. And finally, I have a spreadsheet I put together that helps you track time maybe that isn't within your calendar. If you'd like to do some time tracking there, I have provided a copy of this spreadsheet that has a little script in it. When you click a button, it adds a timestamp. So it's kind of like clocking in and clocking out on yourself. So like I said, we're not going to go through the slides today, but they are your reference. And at the very back of, well, near the end, there's a resources slide that gathers together more information about everything we're going to talk about. But without further ado, I'm going to go into Gmail. And like I said, I recommend that you try this out too. So go ahead and open up your Gmail on one page, or if you prefer to just, watch today, that's fine. But I always do believe a lot in, when you do it, you're going to keep it better. You're going to learn it better. Right. So the first thing we're going to do to help gather the information that's in our email is we're going to create a label to gather that stuff in. So on the left-hand side, now if you don't see your list of labels on the left, you need to click on the main menu option on the top left corner. And then when you see your list of mailboxes and labels, you're going to click the plus button next to labels to create a new label. So for me, I'm going to call my label, I'm going to say this is comments for 2024, 2025. My performance reviews are usually in July, so I usually categorize things through the years that they are. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and click create on that. And then on the left-hand side, I will see my comment label has been created there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add a color to this label so that it's really easy for me to see as well. So I'm going to click on the three dots to the right of the label, and I'm going to go to label color, and I'm going to choose a color here. Since it's Valentine's Day, I'll choose this pink color. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and find an email that has that comment that I want to save. And here I have this comment that says, this was super helpful. I want to save this so I can remember this comment and the context around it come the end of the year. So when I'm looking at this email, I'm going to click on the label icon. And then I'm going to check the box for that label I just created. And you can add more than one label. So if you have a organizational system where you would normally put this email, you can also select that other label. But I'm going to just select this comments label for now. And I'm going to click apply. And I will see my beautiful pink comment up there at the top. Now, the trick that I really recommend is also starring the email with the information you want to save. So I'm going to click on the star to the right of my email where the date is. And I've set up custom stars. So I'm going to put the blue information star on this. So I'm going to do this with all the emails that come in during the year that I want to save. And now my email is available for me right here in my comments label. All right, I'm going to do that with one more email. Let's say that I want to save all the workshops I attend in a different label. So I have my confirmation email here for today's workshop. So I'm going to click on the label icon and I'm going to add this label to it and click apply. All right, so then when it comes to the end of the year and I want to gather up the information, the thing that's really great is when you star a message, when I click to open this, it's going to open directly to the email with the star. So I can easily then copy this out and I'll remember the context behind it because it's in the thread of the email and I have my comments there and a little bit of information about what project I worked on. All right. Give me a thumbs up if this is a helpful technique. This is something I've been doing for years that allows me to remember at the end of the year some of the stuff I did. Yeah, the resources tab has a link about the custom stars, but I'll briefly show you the custom stars are going to be in settings. So when you go to the settings gear, you click on see all settings. And then in the general tab, you're going to have to scroll down a good distance here. And then all you'll need to do is grab the stars that you want to use from the not in use section and drag them up to the in use section. And then you'll be able to use additional stars and you can reorder them as well, however you want within this section. Yeah, and these don't have any predefined meanings. It's whatever you want them to mean. All right, I'm going to go ahead and discard those. All right, great. So let's go ahead and jump into calendar now. And this is going to give us a little bit more quantification. We'll be able to see a little bit more solid numbers here. And the way I want to show this tool is called Time Insights. So on the left-hand side, if you don't see the mini calendar, make sure you click on the main menu on the top left. And then you're looking for the section called Time Insights. When you see that, go ahead and click on More Insights, and Time Insights opens on the right. Let me know if this is new for you. Has anyone, is this the first time seeing Time Insights for anyone? I think it's been there a while now. I don't really remember how long, but yeah, it's kind of like a sleeper because if you don't ever open up this section on the left, maybe you didn't realize what was in here. Okay, so we've got some people, Jessica, and if you have things that you like to do, that feel free to throw those in chat. You have some tips that we don't talk about. Okay, so the first thing that you can do with Time Insights is you can set up these custom codings for the types of events you're in. So if you look on mine, I clicked into by color and I have this project 1, team meetings, workshops, and default. And if you want to code your events in specific ways, you can add your own types of names there. So what we're going to do on the right-hand side in Time Insights, next to Time Breakdown, go ahead and click on the pencil icon. And this is going to open up a list of all of your labels and the colors associated with them. So what you can do is you can either rename any of the existing labels, or you can press on the plus icon. You can add a new type of label here. So I guess I'll go with the flamingo color. Who knew? And not pink, it's actually flamingo. All right, so my flamingo label, I'm going to make this to be department meetings. So for these labels, I would recommend adding in the types of events or activities you normally partake in that make up a good part of your work days, and that will give you the best results with this tool. So you can add however many you want here, but notice there's a finite number of things you can add in. Once you run out of colors, I don't think you can add any more codings in. So keep that in mind when you're adding these. All right, so I've added one new color label in there. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. So now that I've added in some colors, some codings, how do I apply those codings? Well, for this event here, this one says workshop prep. I'm going to actually associate it with the workshop type now. And the easiest way to do that is to right-click on an event, and then you'll see this pop-up menu where you can choose what type of meeting this is. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this to workshops. And you can see that the event basically turns yellow, the color of that coding, but there's a very small strip on the left-hand side that still shows my primary calendar color. It can get kind of confusing if you look at a lot of calendars and you change the colors within your calendar, because it'll be like, what's going on? Which event is this? But keep in mind that left-hand side does show your main calendar color still. All right, so we've added that one here. We've coded that one as workshop. And I'm going to go ahead and code this tech meeting as a department meeting. And this is a reoccurring event, so it's asking me whether this is this event or all. I'm going to say all events and click OK. All right, so if you are actually creating an event or editing an event, I'm going to say this one is workshop prep. You can add the colors down here. So where it says the calendar name and you see the default color, when you click on that, you can select the coding or what type of event this is from here. You can also add another event. I'm going to go ahead and make this a workshop type also and click on Save. All right. So now what? Yeah, I see there is a question. What?
Can I add just one thing, Julie, that I noticed when I first started using this feature? I also changed, under my name, I changed it from like free to busy time because I had blocked out so many hours in my calendar. Like somebody was trying to schedule a meeting with me and it said I was just like busy all day. So there's certain things that I have to be like busy for because I need to keep it open and meet with people. But there are certain things where if it's special projects and there's no time limit, I keep it open as like free time just so people will still think I'm available to meet.
Right. So that's a good point. So if you're blocking off time that you're planning to do something, but you could be booked for meetings, you could choose to set yourself as free for that, and that would resolve what Jessica was talking about. All right, so now that you've coded your events some, in Time Insights on the right, I do want to point out briefly that if you have access to manage someone else's calendar, you'll see a drop down in the top of Time Insights where you can actually click into that person's calendar as well. So if anyone has a drop down there, that's someone else's calendar that you manage, you can see that person's time breakdown as well. All right, so in time breakdown of Time Insights, when you look at by type, as you scroll down here, the first section is going to show you how much time for the time period you're currently looking at. So right now I'm looking at a week. How much was spent on focus time versus one-on-one meetings versus 3+ larger meetings, things I need to respond to, and the remaining time based on your working hours. So as I move my mouse over these different numbers, it's actually showing me which events are calculated and contributing to that time. And if you notice that workshop prep one we just created, there aren't any guests on that. So that's not counting that in anything really, except for remaining, because it's not really, they don't count it because it's not a meeting, I guess you would say. All right. The other time breakdown you can look at is by color. So when you click into by color, this is where our codings come in handy. So if you really use this thoroughly, at the end of whatever time period, and if I go up here where it says week, for me, if I go up to the time period and I choose instead year, for example, then it's going to show me the time breakdown for this entire year I'm looking at. So it is going to show you a whole calendar year, January 1st to December 31st. But if I have dutifully filled this out, I could copy this out and then paste it into wherever I am collecting the information for myself. And I have a breakdown in the way my time is spent on these projects for the year. So I think this is pretty cool. All right, and again, as I switch my time breakdown, my numbers here change to reflect that time period. All right, and as I scroll down below that, the next section is time and meetings. And again, they're using meetings as like with other people. So the event I just created that didn't have any guests, it's not calculating that because it was just a time for me. And this is showing me when I have the most meetings. So this can be a helpful tool for you to look and see when maybe you should avoid scheduling things because they're really busy with meetings. And if I go into the week view, it shows me by weeks. And if I go into day, it shows me by day. So you can get all these different breakdowns. So I had a good question in chat. How do I unassign the color? So the only way you can really unassign it is by going back to your main calendar color. So if I assign this to workshop, I want to find whatever it says for calendar color and reassign that. And then I will kind of undo the association with a specific color. All right. Now back on the Time Insights on the right, the following section is who you meet with the most. So in case you're, curious about who has been lots of meetings with you, you'll see that breakdown here. And if there are specific people you want to track, you can actually click on the Managed Pin People button, and you can add in specific people here, and it will pin them. So you'll always see the time you spent with those people in this list here. All right, but for what we're talking about today, I find the by color breakdown to be the most useful tool in this set. Are there any questions on Time Insights? Give me a thumbs up if you think this will be useful for figuring out what you did and uncovering your impact over the year. All right. And if you just learned a new tool, go ahead and take the rest of the day off. You just saved yourself some time, right? All right. Last but not least is the custom spreadsheet. Now, let me grab this link for you. It's if you're in the slides, it is in slide 20. There's a link there to the demo project time tracking. Now, the sheet, this version of the sheet has some kind of dummy data in it. And the resources tab had an empty one. So if you want to start with an empty, fresh one, you can get that off the resources tab. But the link I put in chat is the demo project tracking. And if you'd like to try this out with me now, go ahead and open that up and make a copy. So I'm going to go to the file button and choose make a copy. All right, I'm going to call it Julie's copy. And it's giving you a warning that there's an app script file. This is a script on the back end that allows the button in it. When you click a button, it adds a timestamp. So that's what that does. You should expect to see that little warning. And then once you copy it and your own version is open, all right, let's walk through a little bit about how this works. Basically on the step 3 page, this is the one with a button. And when I select in the start time or end time and I click on the button, it adds a date and a timestamp. First, it's going to want me to authorize the script. The first time you run this, you need to authorize it. Oh, it doesn't like that. Did anyone else get that error when they clicked the timestamp button?
The authorization required one?
Yeah.
Yes, I got that.
You got that error too? Okay. So I will check into why that's going on and reshare this later. And let me try this from here. Okay, so this is the one I wrote it in. And you'll see when you insert the timestamp, it gives you the time and the date. And then I can pick the project I was working on and what I was doing in that time period. And then when I'm done with that project, I insert the timestamp and it adds another time, and I have my total time automatically calculated there. So once I figure out why the button doesn't work, what you'll do if you want to use this for yourself, you'll start in the step 1 enter projects, and you'll add in the things you're working on. Now, when I say project, I don't mean like full out, project. It doesn't have to be an official project. Whatever tasks or different things you're working on, you can add in here. So this might be an Excel workshop for me, or for you, it might be a report you're working on. Whatever the case may be, you can write those all down in there. And as you think of new things throughout the year, you can add them here. And then in the step 2, enter job duties, then the idea here is that the different duties that you do you might have one project that you do different duties on, if that makes sense. So you could put in different duties in here. So I'm going to say this one would be an online training, actually delivering the training. And then, like I said, when you get to step 3, you're just clicking the timestamps and selecting the information you're working on, and it calculates for you. And then the cool thing about this is that it already has pivot tables and charts built into it, so you can see how your time is being spent throughout the year as you go through there. All right. So this is definitely something that I use especially because we looked at calendar and you saw, or maybe you're thinking like Jessica was mentioning, my calendar was all blocked off because I was putting so much of my time on there. A lot of the things that we do don't fit into meetings, or they don't fit into calendar events. So if you want to calculate things outside of calendar, this can be a really good tool for that. You just clock in and clock out, and it will calculate all that time for you. And because of magics of pivot tables and things like that, you can get really good information about your time and what you're doing with this type of a tool. All right, so like I said, I will look into this button in here, what's not working, and reshare when that's sorted. In the meantime, you can manually enter dates and times in there, but I'm going to get this sorted. Yeah, is there a question, Rosalia?
Yes. Hi, Julie. So
Hi.
I was, even with that error, I just kind of clicked on all the appropriate permissions, the OKs, and I eventually got to a point where I was able to edit.
Okay, perfect.
I don't think it's prohibitive in any way, but that could just be my experience.
Okay, great. All right. Are there any other questions? Okay, as I mentioned on the resources tab, if you want to have an empty copy of that, the current version is right here. I'm going to look at the button and figure out what's going on with that though. And there's more information about all the things we looked at here. And I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you're ready to go and see what you've been up to all these years, right? All right. I hope this was helpful, and I'm all set for now. So I'm handing over to Krista.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie. This was awesome. I think you shared a lot of great tips that will help people get organized. If you want to reference the slides or recordings from this session or from any of our sessions during Love Data Week, you can find that at our website. I'm popping the link in the chat. So please feel free to check that out. And then if you've not already registered or if you're around on campus today, please pop into our open house. We're going to be having it from 12 to 2 in the Wong Center Theater lobby with some refreshments, some data games, and you can have a chance to chat with some of the presenters from this week's session. Otherwise, thank you again to Julie and to Kyle, and hope you all have a great rest of your day.